Joe Fazer, welcome to the Personal Best podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
How
Looking
you
forward to it.
doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very excited to have you here because I know we've had to reschedule already. So
Yeah, no,
we
it's
made
good.
it happen.
We made it.
So my first question for you is, can you just give me a little personal introduction? And the reason I ask this is just for people listening who might not be familiar with your social media or your content.
Yeah.
Just give us a little info about you.
Okay, so I'm Joe Fazer. I've been working out for like 5 or 6 years now. I started off as a very skinny guy, did a 1-year body transformation and started from there being like, you know what, let's try and document my progress on YouTube. So I started uploading a bit on YouTube. It did really well. A couple videos went viral. And from there, I've kind of just, my YouTube was just following my journey through trying to get bigger. And now I've kind of branched out into more like traveling and all of this. So yeah, that's kind of me. I'm a guy who likes working out and making YouTube videos, in short.
Amazing. So I want to explore both of those avenues, like how you've grown on YouTube and also how you've made all this progress in the gym. So just starting with the YouTube side of things, why did you decide to start creating content at such a young age as well?
So I've been doing YouTube since 2012. So to put it into some context, I'm 21. So I was about 10 when I first started making YouTube videos, and I always just loved watching them. And I always just wanted to be a YouTuber, right? So from when I was in primary school, I'd make crappy little videos. Wait, am I allowed to say that, by the way?
Yeah.
I just made like crappy little videos. And if I ever got into a phase growing up, if that be skateboarding, magic, parkour, singing, like anything, I'd get into loads of phases and I'd always make a YouTube out of it. And the same applied with fitness. So when I got into fitness, I was like, I want to make a YouTube out of this. So after training for a year, I did a 1-year body transformation. I posted that on YouTube and it just went absolutely viral. It's on like 30 million views now. And that's kind of what started off. And I was like, you know what? This is the first account which is actually doing really well. And unlike all my previous phases, fitness kind of stuck with me and it wasn't just a phase. And I carried on doing the fitness and I just carried on making videos. I've just really enjoyed it. I always have. You can see videos from when I was like 12, 13 years old and the editing is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I've always just loved like researching how to edit a cool video or how to do like a muzzle flash with a gun. So like making a gun effect. Like I just love it.
That's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people kind of explored YouTube, like me and my friends. This must have been like year 6 or year 7.
Wow.
So we were like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
We made a joint YouTube channel called TBH Just Girls.
Okay.
And we do like makeup tutorials and like the chubby bunny challenge.
The chubby bunny challenge.
So much
yeah,
random
yeah.
stuff. And like we didn't stick it out. And I think a lot of people are the same. But why did you continue with YouTube? Was it out of the love for it? Or was it once you started to get views and subscribers that you were like, okay, this is something I'm good at?
So I didn't necessarily stick it out as in like, I was kind of like you. I'd do a channel for a month and then I'd stop.
Okay.
And then like a couple months later, I'd get into something new and make a new channel. So I didn't necessarily stick it out, or I was never making content on a channel for like 2-3 years straight and it gets
Consistently.
I never did that. But I think I just really did enjoy making videos. So if I would find a new hobby, I'd also want to create a video out of that because I love doing that as well.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, everyone always speaks about, oh, you know, I don't do it for the views or anything. But realistically, when you're getting views, it kind of does motivate you a bit more. So when my fitness account started doing well, that gave me even more motivation to actually carry this one on.
Yeah, it spurs you on.
Exactly, yeah.
So when did you first get into fitness then?
I got into fitness when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So quite a funny story, actually. Have you seen Love Island?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was season 2, so one of the first ever Love Islands. I remember my mate told me to watch it. I started watching it and I just saw these ripped, good-looking guys. And I was like, I want to be like that. So I was doing like press-ups while watching the show every night. Or like I had my old granddad's barbell. I was using that while watching the show. And I was making no progress whatsoever. My diet was awful. My training was horrible. But I just kind of wanted to be like these Love Island guys. So that's kind of what started it off.
Yeah.
And then from there, I joined a gym and yeah.
That's so funny. And I always love asking people like what got them into the gym, because like everyone's got a different reason as to why they started, and also how they started. So the 1 year body transformation that you posted, that was what, 15 to 16 years old?
That was like 14 and a half to 15 and a half.
And that just blew up.
Just went crazy. It was my first video on this new channel.
Yeah.
And I remember I posted it, and after like a week, it was on about 2,000 views. And, people are in this TikTok generation now where that doesn't seem anything crazy. But for back then, this was on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is not helpful to small creators. 2,000 views for a brand new channel, a random video, is like, why is this actually getting views? This is weird, because all my other channels for 5 years prior was getting 2 views, 4 views. Right. So I was like, oh my God. And I remember it kind of kept creeping up. And every morning I woke up, I'd check the views. It was the first thing I did every morning before school. I'd check the views. And I remember one day it had gone up by like 10,000. The next day it had gone up by like 30,000. And I was like, what is going on? This was after like it'd only been up for about 2 weeks. The next day, like, it'd gone up by 50,000.
And are you still in school?
I was still in school.
Looking at this video?
Yeah, every morning I'd wake up. And the next day, I got a message from my mate. And I was like, oh, God. And he was like, oh, I've seen the video. Because I didn't want to tell anyone at school about this.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted... It was me shirtless at 15 years old. I didn't want anyone in my school seeing it. But obviously, naturally, because of the amount of views it was gaining, the people at my school started seeing it. And yeah.
I think probably the reason that did so well is because not many people were posting that type of content. Yeah. And I guess you are kind of exposing yourself. You're not this like seasoned gym bro or like Mr. Olympia. You're literally like a 15-year-old kid who's just trying to put on some size, and that's probably why people caught on to that and then started watching your YouTube content from there.
This was before like TikTok and everything as well. So no one was doing, like, it was very rare to do like a body transformation because no one wanted to go shirtless on the internet unless you were a ripped guy.
Yeah.
Like, fitness was so much less popular back at this point compared to it is now. Like a body transformation now, like there's so many being posted, normal, right? But back then it was a lot rarer. Yeah,
but delving into like your fitness journey a bit deeper. So you said you started off as quite like a skinny guy in the gym. Why was that like an insecurity for you? Because I think from my perspective as like a girl, like at school we all wanted to be skinny. We were like, I'm skinny. But I know that for a guy, that's not necessarily the body ideal that you're aiming for.
Exactly. It kind of just comes down to like the social aspect of it, in the fact that traditionally attractive women are skinny. So all the girls in your school probably wanted to be skinny, and the traditionally attractive guys wanted to be big like rugby guys. And I was extremely skinny, 50 kilos at 6'3", around that. So ridiculously underweight. And I just, it wasn't manly. I didn't like it.
Yeah. And did you kind of get comments from people, or would you say it was more just like this internal critic that was saying, I don't feel good enough?
So it's quite funny, actually. I didn't really get much stick for it, like growing up or anything. I mean, I got probably the odd comment here and there, but it was when I actually joined the gym when I'd get stick. Like, people were taking the mick once I'd joined the gym because I was obviously some skinny kid in the gym. Which, when you actually like deep dive into that, it doesn't make much sense because I'm going to the gym to get less skinny. But yeah, everyone started taking the mick when I started hitting the gym.
That's so interesting. Like, I'm kind of thinking why that would be. But I guess that's because you're then suddenly placing yourself in a setting where maybe you look like the odd one out a little bit.
Yeah.
As in terms of like lifting weights with all these bigger guys.
Yeah, and it was like, I was a kid lifting weights, but I was still skinnier than a lot of the guys who didn't lift any weights in my year. Right. So that I'd be a very easy target to them guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit annoying. It did get to me from time to time, but it was kind of motivation at the same time. I kind of wanted to prove them wrong. But yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk me through your transformation a little bit and like the progress that you've made. What advice would you give to people who are on a similar journey? I know you recently did the YouTube with Jack's Fit. Who's a guy who's gone really viral on TikTok and social media because he's just a skinny guy who's trying to put on some weight and some muscle. Yeah. So what advice would you give to people like him and people listening?
The advice I'd give is, so he's saying specifically for skinny guys trying to bulk up?
Yeah, on the same transformation as you.
Well, I mean, if you're speaking from like a, like a don't give up side of you, like, I know it may seem hard and I know you don't think that you can get big, but trust me, like, it just takes time. That is the big thing. Like, you just have to stick to it. A lot of people try and go to the gym for a month and they don't see much results and then they give up, right? Another thing I would say is don't go straight into it. A lot of people create a strict workout plan, a strict diet plan as soon as they start. If you're going so strict to start with, you'll give up so easily.
Yeah.
Just go to the gym, have fun, research into it a bit. Make sure you're eating a lot of calories, because that's the main hindrance for us skinny guys, is we don't eat enough. Even if your training is on point, you need calories. So stuff your face, train hard, and I promise you'll see results.
Yeah. And something you said in the YouTube video with Jack, which I found interesting, is don't ban junk food completely.
Don't ban junk food completely.
Yeah, because you sort of said that you just need to get calories in regardless of where those calories are coming from.
Yeah. So I would always recommend the cleaner route. I would always recommend, trying to get the calories whole foods, high protein meals, chicken, rice and broccoli, a classic meal. Great, okay? The problem is, us skinny guys have a very small appetite, naturally, and a very high metabolism. So when you put these two together, it's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? They just completely contradict each other. So if you can't, if you're at the end of the day and you've tried to eat somewhat healthy, but you still need like 800 calories, have a pizza.
Don't go for a salad.
No, don't go for a salad, because you won't be able to finish it, Go for something which is calorie dense, which you can eat a small amount of and it'll give you those calories, because it's better to get the calories in an unhealthy way than to not get the calories in at all.
Yeah, definitely. And so what's your gym routine looking like at the minute? You still on this journey of wanting to get bigger, or are you pretty content with
I want to get bigger.
how you look?
I want to get bigger. I've always wanted to just get bigger and bigger. I mean, I'm kind of limited with my genetics in the fact that I will never be some big bodybuilder. I just have to kind of accept that fact. I'm not genetically blessed for gaining muscle, but yeah, I just want to gain as much muscle as physically possible. I like staying lean at the same time. I like being a low body fat.
Yeah.
But yeah, just get bigger is my goal for carrying on.
Yeah, because I heard you mention in a previous podcast that you've dealt with body dysmorphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered, from your perspective as a muscly guy that's into the gym, how that then manifests itself. Because again, from my perspective, I know that a lot of girls will worry about their weight and maybe look at themselves in the mirror and they see their body as larger than it is.
Yeah.
But with guys, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah. It's kind of, with me, it's if I see my body in bad lighting, because lighting plays a massive role in how you look, how your body physically looks when you look at it. When I see my body in bad lighting, I kind of only think of that image, compared to when I see my body in great lighting, I don't really focus on that part. I focus on what I've seen earlier in the bad lighting, and that's kind of where the body dysmorphia kind of comes from. I would say that I do have body dysmorphia. I will openly admit that. I think a lot of people, all of my comments say that as well. And I know that what I'm about to say probably isn't the best thing, and probably not some good advice, but body dysmorphia for me is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. And what I mean by that is it's a good thing in the fact that it's a good thing in the fact that it motivates me to go to the gym all the time and to eat a lot of protein. It gives me that motivation because I want to get bigger. I'm only thinking of that horrible body that I saw in the bad lighting. But then at the same time, it's a bad thing because it's body dysmorphia. It can affect your mental health. It can affect all of that.
This is why I find it so interesting. And I have spoken to a body image researcher on this podcast, and we spoke about muscle dysmorphia, which obviously is a preoccupation with wanting to be muscular, and particularly leanly muscular, because in society's view, if you see a guy who's in really good shape and he goes to the gym, he's healthy. Yeah. But actually, I think maybe it becomes a reason for concern when it's being a real hindrance on your life, and you know, if you can't stick to your rigid diet plan and you don't feel like you can take one day off training, then that's where it becomes a bit of a problem.
So true.
But I see what you're saying there, that like if you want to get bigger, if you were then just satisfied, you're not going to achieve that.
Exactly. But the thing that person you're speaking to about these ripped guys that you see walking down the street, while they seem healthy, 99% of the time, they're most likely not healthy. They've most likely got some form of body image disorder, or they're, you know, taking drugs, or, you know, their whole life
to, like,
revolves around
extreme
it.
measures.
Exactly.
I remember seeing this video on TikTok of this guy who was at like a concert outside, and he was like two-stepping whilst eating chicken and rice out of a Tupperware box. And all the comments were like, mate, just have a day off.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he thought that was like really cool, but
I think he was probably doing that more for the TikTok.
Maybe, but like people like that, I'm just sometimes think, okay,
it's a bit far, that
it's too much. It's too much.
Well, I would never go to the extremes of taking chicken rice to a festival.
No, definitely.
I think I'm at a good stage in my life right now where I am like I'm very happy with how I look, but I want to kind of get bigger as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely not as insecure. Like about a year and a half ago, I was like at the worst point of my life, like image wise. I had really bad acne, like I was really skinny. Back then it was bad. Now I think it's all right.
Well, you've been open on YouTube about kind of your glow up, and obviously that's probably been mental as well as physical, but what are the things you've done that have made you feel a bit better about yourself, would you say?
One was getting rid of acne. So I had really bad acne. And I sorted that out.
Did you go on medication?
I went on, do you know Accutane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went on Accutane, which is obviously not something that I would recommend, or I would, but, you know, it's kind of a sticky one.
Go to a doctor,
Go to a dermatologist and get them to speak about it, get their advice. But that, like, boosted my confidence massively, sorting out my acne. That was my biggest killer. Like, that I hated.
It can take such a toll on you mentally. Like, I know people who've dealt with it, and my heart goes out to them, honestly.
Have you never experienced
No, I'm so lucky with my skin. But even if I get like a couple spots, I'm like, which is so silly because I know people suffer badly with it.
It's like if you've got to go to an event, or I mean, especially for me, right, I have to post to like hundreds of thousands of people. If my skin's horrible and I feel horrible about it, like there was videos that I'd spent so much money on, so much time on, that I didn't post purely for the fact that my skin looked bad in it. It was horrible.
And also as a guy, I mean, you can wear makeup, there's no limits, but you can't really, as in like a lot of girls, you know, will just put on the foundation and you can mask it, but I guess that's
for guys, it's a lot less
tough.
common to do that.
Sure.
Sorting out my acne, obviously getting leaner was a good one. I mean, if you get leaner, it kind of makes your muscles pop more, makes your jawline better. That's a good thing.
That's what Sam's posted a lot of content
He
about.
does post that a lot.
Sam, who's been on this podcast, is his facial transformation. It's like, where was that jawline hiding?
Exactly. People speak about mewing. Have you heard of mewing?
Oh, where you like tense your jaw.
I don't know how. Yeah, that's it. Like you put your tongue to the top of your mouth and you breathe through your nose is what mewing is.
Right.
And apparently it's meant to train your jawline. I don't know how true that is, how good that is. At the end of the day, if you want to get a better jawline, it's as simple as losing body fat.
Yeah.
If you see an old photo of me, there was a time where I'd bulked up too far and my face is kind of fat, and now I just lean down. It helps with that. Sorting out my acne, lower body fat, getting a tan helps, just makes you look better, makes your body look better. So yeah, they're kind of the tips, and as much as it's like kind of an egotistical thing, you know, you're trying to make yourself look more attractive, it does help your mental health massively. Because my mental health was affected by how I looked. Like when I felt like shit, it's because I thought I looked like shit. I had really bad acne, all of this. Now that I think I look better, it makes me more confident. It makes my day-to-day life so much better.
I think it's important to say that, and again, it can sound a bit superficial, I guess, if you're just like, you need to change this about your appearance, but I get what you're saying is like the two kind of go hand in hand. Like if I feel like I look better, I show up to other people as like a more confident, more outgoing version of myself. And I know we're all, you know, blessed with different looks, but most people can do a few tweaks here and there that
100%.
hopefully are going to like boost their confidence.
100%. I would say for a guy, I don't know about girls because I've not done, much research into it myself. I would say for a guy, I mean, this is another thing which is probably not the best thing to describe it as, but if you were to scale someone from 1 to 10 attractiveness wise, I think there's measures you could do to completely make yourself like go up on that scale so much more. Any guy could do it. No matter how they look, you could make yourself look way better.
And I think it's tough because obviously we all have insecurities. And I think a lot of messaging you see on social media is often, you don't need to change yourself. You're perfect the way you are. You just kind of need to like change your thoughts.
Yeah.
But I also think if there's like something you can do, which is going to boost your confidence, even for the short term, and it requires minimal investment, why don't you do that? Like I highlight my hair.
Yeah.
I could like learn to love my natural hair, but I don't because it's like mousy brown and I don't like it. So, that's like a tiny little thing that makes me feel good.
With that? Yeah.
So
what's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm sure people will have different opinions.
People will say, and I completely understand it, people will say like, oh, it's, vain, it's egotistical to do all of this stuff. And in some regards, people can make it vain and egotistical 100%. But as we've spoken about, like, it just makes you feel better and it makes you more outgoing. Like you may say yes to an event that your mates invited you to because you feel confident that day and have the best night of your life, compared to if you felt crap and like had horrible acne and, felt awful in yourself and you didn't go because of that, you might miss out on something amazing. So if you want to like find ways to boost your confidence through looking better, there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion.
I guess it only becomes an issue if you're constantly focusing on these like again, like superficial, like materialistic things, and it's not actually helping you mentally. Yeah. I think that's when you just need to assess.
I think you can take it too far where it would affect you mentally in a bad way, where like if you're not on 100% looking the best, then it can fuck you up mentally as well.
And that's something that a previous guest I had on spoke about, this guy called Milo, and I asked him, how has improving your physique helped your confidence? Yeah. And he said it has helped because I think a lot of guys, he said, will buy watches and expensive things or cars to make themselves feel good because they want that validation. But he said at the end of the day, if you strip it back, like all you've got is how you look naked and how your mind works. Yeah. And if you can be proud of those two things and confident with those things, you don't need the rest. The rest 100%. Is like a nice addition to your life.
Completely agree. And the thing with like a body is, it doesn't matter how rich you are, you can't buy a good body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's another thing about it.
I mean, a lot of dangerous plastic surgery.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But it will never look like the real thing.
No, I agree. So just looping back to actually, there's one thing I want to talk about before that. Yeah. So you recently made a video and you said, I've lost my gains, and you kind of documented how you're making a comeback. Yeah. For people who maybe feel like they've fallen off the bandwagon a bit. I mean, we've just had Christmas. Like, a lot of people will have been like overindulging, and that's so fine. But for people who want to get back into routine or make progress with their fitness, what advice would you give?
So you're saying like if they've just if it's just like finished
like fallen off a bit, like yourself, like you feel like you'd lost progress.
I would just say like look at it as a great motivation. If you've fallen off and you don't feel as good in yourself, then this is the most motivated you'll ever be to get back into shape. So just go ham, basically. That's what I did when you just spoke about the video where I lost my gains, right? It was all I was thinking about. As soon as I got back into the gym, all I was thinking about was my diet, my training, and I was just the most motivated I've ever been.
Motivation.
So just go get back into it. Don't do anything like special and try and change your diet, like try and do anything. Just get back into it how you were. Get back into the routine and just, if you're speaking specifically for the gym, you've got muscle memory, which will help bring back the gains quite fast.
Yeah, I think people forget that. They're like, I've lost all progress. Like, I'm starting from
It'll come back
the
fast.
Beginning, but you're not.
Yeah, not at all. No, muscle memory is such a crazy thing that you can get your gains back in a couple months. Like, if you lost all of it, it's crazy.
How did that happen for you? Or was it like not even a conscious thing? You just realised you'd like regressed a bit?
As in, like, how did I lose my gains? So there was a multitude of factors. One of them was I just generally had lost motivation for the gym. Another one was I was traveling all the time and I was not eating right. I was hardly training.
Yeah.
And at the same time, another one, including in the traveling, I was just working all the time. And I just was not training at all. And on top of that, I'd lost the motivation. So those two hand in hand, like so much work, no motivation. I just didn't really train much. Like I went to the gym the odd time, but the only time I would really go to the gym was for if I was filming or if it was for work.
Yeah.
So it was mainly just loss of motivation.
Yeah, which is fine. And I think I've had this conversation with my mom a few times because she's quite an all or nothing person when it comes to health and fitness, and she'll admit that. And every time she feels like she's fallen off a bit, I always say to her, but you know how to get back on track.
Yeah.
Like you're starting from experience. Like you know the steps you need to do, and you will do it.
Yeah, you're not a beginner. You know what to do, which is one of the hardest things.
Yeah. I think this idea is really interesting, and it applies to fitness, but it applies to other aspects of life, is that as we make progress, our standards for ourselves increase.
100%.
And so that when we then go backwards, it feels like we've regressed and we really beat ourselves up for that. But actually, you know, your point of comparison has just got higher.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's something James Beardwell spoke about. I feel like I'm quoting everyone in this podcast today, but he, when I asked him what motivated him, he said he's much more scared of regression than making progress. So if like he's made less money one month than the previous month, that's a bigger motivator for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that idea is really interesting. I feel like, especially if you're someone who's quite a high achiever, like you set quite high standards for yourself, that feels very frightening.
No, it's so true. I'm the exact same. And, you know, it's not just for bodybuilding and like building up a physique, as James spoke about with money.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you made this much last month, you made less this month, it feels awful. So it's about like the one thing I compare this to, and I speak about this all the time, is my views on YouTube, right? I have to say I average about 200,000 views in the first 24 hours of a video posting. When I post a video, if it does well, it makes my mood amazing, right? I'm in the best mood ever. If it does rubbish, I'm in the worst mood ever. Yeah. Genuinely, it can affect my mood massively. I'm sure it might be similar for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But if I'd got, so you know, I get an average of about 200,000 views in 24 hours. If I get a video which gets 150,000 views in 24 hours or 100,000 views in 24 hours, I feel horrible. I feel awful. But me 2 years ago, if I'd got 100,000 views in 24 hours, I'd be on top of the moon. Like, I'd love it. So again, it is just about, you've progressed and now you're comparing yourself to this better version of you, pretty much.
Yeah, you're on a new level. And it's so silly because I think we just lose perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm 100%. Exactly the same. Like, I've nowhere near had the success that you have. But even with the podcast, I've been posting it on Instagram, and I really wanted 600 followers before Christmas.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be so nice, like a nice even number. And I even asked my stepsister to follow me on all her private accounts so I could get to that number, which sounds so silly. And then a few videos started to do well, and now we're on 14.5k.
Mad.
Which is crazy. Yeah. But obviously, like, the progress is like slowed down a little bit, and now I'm like, okay, what's next? How do I grow again? And it's like,
I mean, you've beaten the target by so much already.
Yeah. So now I've got like a new target, and I think that's just how we're wired as human beings. Like,
and it depends on the human as well, but like, it's just a lot of people are a lot more driven. A lot of people, and you got to respect these people. A lot of people just like living the normal 9 to 5, going to the pub, and you got to respect those guys. Like, that's just what some people like doing. But for us, you know, we want to just get.
Do you know what? You're so right. I think as long as you're happy with your lot and you're happy with where you're going, then you shouldn't hate on other people. You see all these TikToks about like, why would you want to like work a 9 to 5, all of this. Like, genuinely, I know so many people who just love having a routine, having a girlfriend, you know, going to work, going back to the girlfriend, going to the pub on a Friday, having a good life. And you got to respect that. If anything, they're probably happier than the guys who are constantly chasing more and more. You're so right. Definitely. But for you, with your YouTube content, what do you attribute your success to? Because I know so many people, like we said earlier, who've started YouTube accounts and just haven't done anything with it. But why do you think your content has become so popular?
So the first, which I can't look past, is look. So my transformation went viral, and that gave me an initial audience on YouTube. Like, I can't look past that. That is one factor.
But do you know what, I just to interject, is a lovely quote is luck is where experience meets opportunity.
Okay.
So like in that sense, you had the experience of editing videos.
Fair enough.
And then you suddenly had this opportunity to like post it on YouTube and for people to see it. So
True.
like you kind of made
my own
that
luck
luck
in the fact that I made loads of channels. So eventually, hopefully, one did. And,
yeah.
So there's that. I would say another thing is a lot of people see me as quite a relatable guy. You know, I'm nothing special. I'm kind of just a normal lad who went to school. That's what my channel started as. I went to school, went to the gym. Nothing really that special. It's kind of relatable. People like Jack's fit now is popping off because he's a relatable lad. He's quite skinny. And then third, which more recently I think has kind of made my channel do well, and I've noticed the most growth recently, is my editing. So I kind of create very fast-paced content, very short and sweet videos. I will like cut out any crap that won't make it interesting, and I spend a lot of time editing a short 4-minute. So like it can take me 3 or 4 days to edit a 4-minute video. And it's purely because I want that to be when I watch a YouTube video, I love seeing something which every second of it is interesting, all of this, and I want that to be. I don't want there to be any like boring parts of my content.
You go. I've been watching Stephen Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO behind the scenes. And they're such good videos because, like you say, every bit of it is new. Like 1 minute he's in LA, the next he's doing a podcast behind the scenes, and then he's, I don't know, at some like charity event, and it's like there's so much happening in a 30-minute video that I'm engaged.
If he's done that in a 30-minute video as well, that's insane. That is insane.
I mean, he's a busy
guy. He does a lot. It's like I kind of say to myself, apart from the odd time, I don't want a clip in a video to be longer than about 3 seconds, an individual shot. I want to change it because viewer attention span nowadays, especially because of TikTok, is so short.
You're right,
You constantly need to be changing the clip, the music, the pace, everything. So there's so many factors. When you watch a video, it seems, I'm just watching this. Joe's just this guy posts a video once a week. So like genuinely, there's a lot more that goes into it than people think.
But you know what I think works quite well with your type of content, obviously being short form, is like I watched a few videos before this podcast, and like I'll watch one, and then because it's only 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, watch another, watch another, and then because as well the thumbnails and the titles like draw you in, and before I know it, I've watched like 5 videos.
That is literally perfect because that's what I go for. Right? For my YouTube content, the first thing I think of, and I got this idea from Brownie, who's another YouTuber, the first thing I think of when I'm making a YouTube video is the thumbnail and title. How's that going to look? And then I think, how can I make that into a good video? Like I went to the world's tallest country. You know, it's just something like you see that thumbnail about some really tall guy, and you see what's the tallest country in the world, and you're kind of just intrigued and you want to click on it. And then another thing, like you just said, with the 5-minute videos, you want people wanting more when they've finished the video. That means that the next time you post, they're going to click on it, right? Compared to if the video was 20 minutes and they click off after 15, they're less likely to click on the next video that you post. So many like tactical things that you have to do to,
So you've been doing some travel videos, like you said. Out of them, which has been the most fun to go and film and edit?
I went on a big travel in September time. So I went to Laos, then to Vietnam, then to Australia, then to a place called Cook Islands. That was very fun. I was very happy when I got home into my own bed though. Because I was traveling for like 4 weeks. Which is, you love it, but by the end, there's nothing more you're excited than being home. I was in Cook Islands, which is in the Oceania region, just by Australia.
And that was for the
fattest country. But I remember when we had to leave, we had about 52 hours of flying to get back home from there, including like stop-offs and stuff. And I was just dreading that. I was like, oh, this is so long.
I know.
But it is so fun.
And I'm sure it's so worth it as well for like the experience and the stories and everything.
Exactly. You get a lot of stories there.
So what's next for you? Obviously, we just started the new year. Do you have any goals that you could share?
So my goals have always been pretty similar year on year recently, and it's been number one, to get bigger, just physically in the gym, just gain more muscle, as much as it sounds bad, and number two, to grow my YouTube. I know a lot of people like kind of branching out into other stuff, but I like just sticking with what I know and what I'm good at. I love YouTube. I want to stick to that. I want to just grow that. I want to get to about 2 million followers by the end of this year. That'd be a good thing for me.
Yeah.
And it's just about doing that.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, when you read the comments, there's so many lovely comments from people, and they really feel like they know you, and, you know, they're like following you on this journey. And like, how does that make you feel when you read comments from just strangers on the internet?
It's a great motivator. You know, people are like supporting you. Like, I've got it pretty lucky because a lot of people go to the gym and it's just them seeing their own physique. I get compliments on my, and it's
from like hundreds of people.
It's just a good motivator, isn't it? I can't complain, and it just motivates me to carry on, you know, making content, going to the gym. I
love it. So the last question, which I ask everybody, is if you had to give a quote or a mantra or a piece of advice to help people achieve their personal best, what would it be?
Oh God, I'm not the best at this sort of stuff.
Anything. Something that's helped you.
Something that's helped me. Look, it sounds cliche and a bit cringy, but just ignore what people say. I know that a lot of people are going to want to start going to the gym or making content, especially when you're at school or uni and you've got a lot of like peers, all of this. They're going to take the mick. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they're not going to take the mick if you're enjoying it. No, you'll get taken the mick out of if you're doing this stuff, if you're doing something unique. But at the end of the day, all of these guys who you look up to have done something unique, and you have to do that to do well, basically. So just don't listen to them. Just do what you want and enjoy it.
That's so true. I couldn't have put it better myself. And I think anytime you start something new or start something that's a bit out of the ordinary, like you say, you're going to expect a bit of cynicism from people, and they're going to be a bit skeptical because they've not tried to do it themselves, or it might not be like a thing that's done by many people. Yeah. But I think as long as you're passionate about it and you believe in yourself, then just keep going with it. 100%. And it's the same with this podcast. Like, for now, I'm just enjoying it, so I'm just going to see where it goes. And
did you get any backlash for the podcast?
Backlash, no, but I think because I'm still at university and, you know, I'm expected to be applying for jobs soon, I feel this like pressure from people like, oh, so when are you going to get a proper job? Right. And people just, I guess, kind of see it as a hobby. Yeah. Or a nice little side thing I'm doing, whereas I know what it could be.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. Not everyone understands. And at the end of the day, as I said, a lot of the most successful guys that you look up to started off with doing something that nobody understood. So
yeah, and even if it doesn't work out, then it's fine. But at least I can say I've tried.
100%. 100%.
So where can people go if they want to find you or check out YouTube or anything you're doing?
Yeah, just Joe Fazer on YouTube.
Joe Fazer.
If you want to watch some guy travel to random countries, or if you want to watch me flex on camera, go to Joe Fazer.
You know where to go. Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been so nice
really
chatting
enjoyed
to
it.
you. And all the best.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. Bye.